Good morning, welcome to SHOWstudio. It's Sunday, it's Milan's Menswear Autumn-Winter 19, and last night Versace, Donatella Versace, showed her men collection, and it's the first show after the famous or infamous buy of 80% of the company by the that used to be called the Michael Kors Holdings, but actually is now called the Capri Holdings. So it's not Michael Kors that bought Versace, but it's the holding that owns Michael Kors and Jimmy Choo that bought Versace. So people were wondering, is it going to be Korsace? Is she going to do something different because now it's not her company anymore? Actually, she didn't. I don't want to say whatever I think because I want this incredible panel to say it. But hearing the discussion that we had in the past 20 minutes here with the panelists, I expect a very interesting panel. So with no further ado, I would like you to introduce yourself quickly, and then we start the conversation.
I'm Ricky. I'm designer for my brand Wesley Harriott.
I'm Lily Bling, and I'm a stylist.
I'm drinking water. I'm a DJ, and I'm a contributing editor of music for British Vogue.
I'm Shaquille Keith, artist, poet, and one quarter of PAQ, which is a YouTube fashion show.
Amazing. So as you can see, we have an incredible panel this morning. And I would like to start by the harness, because that has already generated a lot of discussion. Donatella, in a way, she was quoting her brother Gianni and a show that he did, I don't know, in probably late 80s, early 90s, with that gay culture of the harness and the black leather, and she put it on a print on a T-shirt, which created some upset here. So can you guys tell me?
I think putting a harness print on a T-shirt is very Camden Market. It's very, I mean, what we're looking at right now is that should be a cushion in a really cheap B&B, a cushion cover. I mean, it's played out, it's done to death. Everybody, you know, for me, it always feels like, if in doubt, throw a harness in. Do you know what I mean? Or if everything's going down, feeling really bad, let's put a harness in. Everybody's done it. And I can think trying to take from the past and trying to make it relevant again now is a really good thing, because it's all about roundabouts and swings. But for me, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
I agree. When I went to watch a show and the first look that came out was a T-shirt with a harness, I thought, oh God, here we go. And maybe it's because for us, like, we're based in London and we've seen that kind of underground culture a lot, and so for us it's nothing new, and it's just another harness, which isn't exciting and is a bit kind of verging on a bit tasteless now, I would say.
Would we have preferred if it was a real harness at least?
No.
It would have been a softer blow.
I kind of think it would have been better, but I kind of just think, you know, right now, in 2019, I think the only place a harness belongs is on a Staffordshire Bull Terrier or on a really buff gay guy. I kind of think just leave it alone. Leave it alone, it's played out.
I was just going to say, because it was obviously the first look with the harness and the T-shirt, and I was like, I think if it was a real harness, it could have been at least you're committing to using that reference a bit more, you know, thought out. Like, they could have put their logo on, they could have made it their own, but the print kind of didn't have any reference to the brand or to what their message. It was just printed harness.
Yeah, I hear.
You know, also I kind of just think, you know, what with the bum bags across the chest that everybody wears and it's in fashion, I kind of think it's kind of a play on that as well. Do you know what I mean? They kind of think they can get away with it again because everyone's wearing leather across the chest.
Yeah, do you feel it's referenced that?
I do think it is a little bit of that. I think that's in there. I mean, if you were to look at that,
well,
I mean, just it's there. But at the same time, I kind of just think, what is it? You know, it's just desperate. Sorry, it is.
What did he think?
I don't know. I think the harness, I know that utility is a big thing right now as well. You know, I mean, you look at other brands like Elites and stuff that really play on that. You know, it works for them. And I guess, like, if they did it in a more tasteful way, even if you didn't want to use an actual harness, I think thinking outside the box and, like, you know, maybe having it made more interesting, like they got jumpers there. I think maybe doing the harness on like a knitwear, or maybe like have it embroidered, adding more texture to it if you are going to print it and not actually have it out. Have it at least a bit more like, you know, I guess interactive, if that makes sense. I think having it printed on a T-shirt, I mean, you know, I've definitely seen it before. I get exactly where you guys are coming from. Like I've been to vintage stores and I've seen like them like bomber jackets that have like the chain prints and stuff, and you know it isn't exactly anything new. I feel like it's simple. I don't know. I feel like they could have spiced it up a bit more, but you know.
I mean,
To justify the T-shirt, let me say this. Donatella gave an interview to Alex Fury that appeared in the FT Weekend yesterday and today, obviously. And she said, Versace can not only be about sex appeal or a gown. And so I need to be able to transform a gown that reminds you of Versace into a T-shirt. And actually, that for me means and sell a lot of little thing. And if you look at this show in details, you will see that actually there's more layering of things that make it look weird or outrageous or clashing or whatever. But actually, they are all pieces.
Who styled the show?
I don't know who styled. Can someone tell me who styled the show, please? Oh, Jacob K. Okay,
Because,
yeah, of course.
For me, I mean, you go back, if you look at this collection, it could be anybody. It could be H&M, it could be absolutely.
Oh, no, I don't
Well,
think
it could, I agree, sorry. You go back, there's a jacket with Ford written on it, label.
There's lots of Ford in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. Like this is just like, you know, yeah, the layering is great. I get where you're coming from. There's like lots of extra things to buy. For me, this is just done to death. Everybody's done
But
this.
it's interesting, like the layering, because when I look at it from a stylist perspective, she was never that experimental with
never.
the styling.
Exactly.
She's never
That's
ever
what I
done
wanted
that.
to say.
Yeah, never.
Usually, especially in men's show, there's a lot of skin, there's a lot of sex appeal,
100%.
there's a lot of nakedness. It has completely disappeared. There's no skinny leather trousers, there's big jackets. It's just following the trends much
It's
more than she
following the
usually
trends.
does.
Totally. Everyone's doing the big layering. Everybody's doing the big jackets.
Okay.
And Versace was never like that. That's what I'm saying. When you look at this, it could be absolutely anybody's collection.
But so isn't that the sign of some venture capitalists buying the brands and
100%.
wanting results?
I remember I was on the train going to Paris last year, and there were these stylists in the next carriage, and you know everyone talks really loudly when they're on the Eurostar going to Paris about what they're doing, and these girls were talking, and they were like, it's amazing the conversation. She was like, oh yeah, I can't believe Michael Kors has bought Versace. I mean, I didn't realise he'd had that kind of money. And I was just like sitting listening to this whole conversation about
Michael Kors went public 7 or 8 years ago. He made gazillions.
So I got one of his handbags, and I was sitting there thinking, oh my God. But it just, you know, the mentality around the Michael Kors thing, people actually think Michael Kors went in and bought Versace.
But it didn't actually, but it's still the mentality of a holding company that puts, I mean, they paid 1.83 billion.
So therefore it needs
It's a
to
lot
sell, so they
of
need
money.
to take it to another market that's going to buy
Yeah,
it.
but on the other hand, Versace was bought just after it started being profitable again, because in 2017, I think, they announced the first profit in year, which was 10 or 15 million. I mean, it wasn't that little. And so Donatella, again, in the interview in the FT, I thought it was very interesting. He's very proud in saying that then big conglomerates started knocking at her door, and so probably she's hinting at the fact that either LVMH or Kering, or I don't think Richmond, but probably LVMH or Kering, went and said, why, can we buy you? And then she said no, and she sold to an American conglomerate. I mean, you know, just upcoming American conglomerate that bought an English and an American brands before. So it was like, I don't want to be part of a big European conglomerate. Yet, you now belong to someone and you now need to sell a lot of merchandise. And I think that's very obvious in
you
this
have this
show.
collection that sums
It's
that
very,
up.
I'm not that against this collection,
I'm not
because I
against
do think there are many Versace staples in there.
Yeah.
That
I
little
think,
black dress, for instance.
I like that.
I think the
dress.
women's wear is better.
Women's wear
The
is
women's wear so much better.
The women's wear is definitely better.
I mean, that just screeches Versace.
But if they put like, so say they took that top half of that dress and made that into an actual harness and put that on a man, I would have found that
That would have been more
so much
attractive.
more interesting.
What,
But
the top part of the dress?
Yeah, that could have been kind of cool, put some pockets in it, like gave it a utilitarian feel.
Maybe I'm jaded about the harness. I mean, I grew up with harnesses. You know, I've come from a culture where everybody wore harnesses.
But Versace is not.
You know, half the people that worked in Versace in the 80s wore harnesses. Not in the shop, in
spare
the
time.
evenings, yeah. I mean, that was what Versace was about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But can we also discuss a little bit the fact that now it's like the third or fourth show where Donatella references to the past? So we had the anniversary of Danny's death. Show autumn winter 18 in September 16.
I love this.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
And this show apparently has turned around the profit for Versace after many years.
Because
it's what people expect.
It's what people want from Versace.
Good point.
It's what people want from Versace. Everybody would want that. If that was a cushion and that was a curtain, they would want that in their house.
Yeah.
But it screeches Versace. It screeches wealth. It screeches.
It's true.
That's superior. That's what it screeches. The next collection we just looked at, the other stuff we just looked at, could have been totally different people that made that.
If you want to buy a hoodie, you wouldn't go to Versace.
No, you
You'd
wouldn't.
go to a brand that you know specialises in hoodies.
If you wanted something with Ford written on it, you'd go to Camden Market.
I also
The
think,
fourth thing, we'll go back to that in a second. Yes.
I also think that they have very cleverly, even though they were against the Ryan Murphy television show, I think they very cleverly capitalized off of the nostalgia from it. A lot of people watched that show, so they saw when
It won awards.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I thought it was really bad, but
But you know, the reason it won awards and it struck a chord with everybody because it
the
was
nostalgia.
exactly, and
And they
people
were
get that
clever.
euphoric feeling.
But
And
so
if
there
it-
is nostalgia.
Euphoria brings up the dopamine release, and people want it. They want to buy it. They love it. They want to love
so
it.
what about this futuristic fashion that is going on, or this shifting of society moods? I mean, if nostalgia sells more,
I feel like, you know what? I think, you know, it's like what you said in the other collection, it's what people expect out of Versace, do you know what I mean? I guess the loyal consumers of the brand. But personally, when I look at this collection, the first thing I thought was, this is definitely for the new gen. And you can see that.
Yeah.
You can see that by who wears their stuff. Like, if I'm referring to, like, you know, like main parts of the culture right now, like rappers and stuff, the only people I see in wearing like Versace, like the sneakers, is like people like Migos.
Yeah.
And they're like the loud, do you know what I mean?
Totally,
Like the loud, flary kind of, you know, aesthetic. And I think, in my opinion, with this show, possibly, I feel like what Donatella's trying to do is she's trying to capture the new gen audience and build them up so that she can take them on a whole new journey the same way other people have been on a previous
Very well said.
I get that totally, but at the same time, I don't think this collection's strong enough to do that.
Do you know what? Harnesses, leather pants, and chunky shoes is the three main things you need. It's very, and she
Isn't it almost too on trend?
It's in
Yeah, but it's
Don't all talk together because it won't be heard.
my weekend away bag. You just described that.
Sorry, Lily, what did you want to say?
All those things you just mentioned, aren't they almost too on trend?
are, yeah.
Or maybe it's just like I said again, because we're used to it and because we've seen it all before, because we're in London, and London is where these things are kind of born, I would say.
Yeah, but Versace has a very high, I even wrote it down, I think 46% of sales in Asia,
Exactly.
which is almost half of the business. So don't think with your stylish, trendy London scene, because that's a different thing. You know, Versace has huge presence on the red carpets. Versace is very much gowns and killer heels, and that's what shocks me the most. You know, someone of you said when we saw, I think it was a Duke coming out with, or no, Bella with the harness thing, and then it was that you, Tony, that said, or you said, yeah, but wear the heels, you know, I don't want to see it with flat boots because this is Versace.
Exactly, it's glamour. If you're going to do glamour, you do glamour. You don't do glamour in a flat.
Half, yeah.
You don't do glamour in a Dr. Scholl's.
And she even said
slipper.
herself,
Do you
didn't
know
she,
what I
that she
mean?
would never ever wear a flat shoe. So why is
She even
then-
said yesterday, she said, my sneakers are better than the others because they're not made in China, they're made in Italy. So I could sell many more, but I don't because we can't produce that many. So
Because only because the Chinese don't want to buy shoes that are made in China.
I'm very proud of producing everything. You know, also it was about the luxury level of the thing. However, I do agree with you that there is a level of trendiness that Versace has to be careful of touching, because Versace is the killer, the I'm going to swear, the fuck me heel, that kind of look. And,
I mean, this is what we're looking at now with all the badges. I'm sorry, it's so Jeremy Scott 4 years ago. It's so
Is
Jeremy
it?
Scott, and then it was so many other people prior to Jeremy Scott. You know, the badges yet again.
I think the danger of this collection, and I find, maybe again this is my London way of thinking, you're proposing looks that we could make ourselves very quickly. I could put this together very quickly without needing to purchase it from Versace.
That's interesting. So you don't give me anything, you don't give me any idea, you don't inspire me. That's what you're saying.
I don't need to have it because I can get that jacket.
I could get that jacket. I could go down the road and get that jacket. Probably.
Yeah. And
I have one jacket like that that they bought in Portobello Road, actually.
It's nothing
Very
better that you think, oh my God, I got to have that. That's really, and the other collections have been like that, where you think, oh my God, that's stunning, that's amazing.
Well, it's like
But do we think that she's struggling because she needs to sell more, or do we think she looked back too much and she's losing creativity? What?
I quite like that last look that just went down there, the green and the pink. I quite like that.
I don't think she's looking back too much. I just think she's thinking about probably too much about what's going to sell and what young people want, and then it's looking almost too try hard, that it's trying too hard to give young people what they want, and it's coming off as corny and a bit cheesy in some ways.
I think it's a thing where it's just like, you know, the brand was built on Gianni's vision, and everybody loved Gianni's vision, right? And I think it's a thing where if your sibling, your older sibling or whatever, was, you know, making these great clothes and you have to fill these big shoes, I think it's a thing where it's just like you're tapping into this mindset of what would Gianni do? And you end up doing things you wouldn't normally do, but you think maybe that's how Gianni would attack the situation.
I get that, but Gianni didn't die last year.
Exactly, Gianni died 20 years ago.
You know, and there's an awful lot of distance between Gianni and where we're at today. And yes, it's great to reference that stuff, but when does it stop becoming amazing and becomes cheap and tacky?
But Gianni was also revolutionizing. Gianni was shocking with the harness. Gianni was shocking with the clashing color, clashing color. This is not shocking, but does Versace?
Is it selling?
Do Versace have to shock?
But I guess it is shocking because there's a woman in trainers, and for Versace that is almost shocking, isn't it? Because we're not.
But do you think that? I don't think that would have been the mindset.
Not for me, but for some people it might be.
I don't think that's the mindset that they were going for.
Probably not.
I kind of just think maybe they're trying to make it more accessible and just more. Okay, it's about layering. Everybody can layer.
The denim though, with the embellishment, that's gorgeous. The denim with the embellishment.
Is it gorgeous? Is it Versace?
I think.
Does it matter? I always say, does it
in 1988?
You can.
She did denim and Diamante, 88.
I think you can like it just because you like it, and I think, brand or not, there are pieces in this collection I do like. I think it'd be unfair to say I hate every piece. I like some of the pieces. Is it Versace? Not necessarily.
Yeah, but that's also a good point. You know, that's what they're trying to do. There's something
such a cop out.
If we had a gun on our head and we went into a store and had to buy 5 pieces of this collection, we would all. So that's not the point. The point is, for me, when I watch this, hold on, Tony, let me finish. When I watch this, where is it going? Because I always think about sustainable long term, you know, what is it happening with the brand? I'm sure we're going to see a lot.
Straight to Bicester Village, darling. That's where it's going. If you want to ask where it's going, it's going straight to Bicester, to the outlet. I mean, that pink shirt that just walked down the catwalk, I mean, come on. Seriously, you know, I've been to hundreds of thousands of fashion shows in my life. When I go to a show, it doesn't have to be the venue. It doesn't have to be just certain pieces of the collection that get you and make you leave and just think, oh my God, that was incredible.
But certain pieces did. The women's wear for me, most of that made me think, oh my God, incredible.
I love
the dresses.
That's the winner in itself.
So that one in
I just saw a pair of boxing.
Can I also say another thing? The supermodel is very Versace. Gianni started it, and here there are 5 models. They all the very expensive one of the moment. So the 5 of them, Bella, Haddock,
Cindy, Watakowski.
Yeah, exactly. What's her name? Oh God. Anyway, so they're all there, and that reminds us of Versace. While even the casting of the men, I mean, if you think about the typical, even by Donatella, the typical Versace man is much more butch. You know, there's skin, there's muscle, these are the models that are
I'm sorry, I'm just
casted today in every other brand.
Yeah, it's true. But then it kind of, if she uses older models that are more macho, then it won't appeal to the younger audience. She's using those kind
fashion.
Yeah.
Of course. I just saw some boxing shorts, a lot of boxing shorts going down, like Thai market boxing shorts.
I have, like,
yeah, again. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how many more times can
I
we
think
see
that, because I was like noticing the boxing shorts and I was trying to form an opinion on them, and I thought, I love the idea that she always uses very hyper-masculine elements, but the thing with boxing shorts is you can just buy them in a vintage shop.
And I will buy them in a
Just go on
vintage shop.
anywhere you go to Thailand, they're on every street corner.
I'm not gonna.
And
But
probably
yet-
better quality.
But and yet we've seen that in fashion a lot recently, you know, like with very vintage-looking fashions.
I mean, it's very 80s.
Hoodies that you can
boxer
buy
short-
everywhere.
The Thai boxer shorts, you know, it's very mid-80s. It's very, you know.
But it is quite Versace, the boxing
Oh,
short.
100% it was. And
It
the
is quite
colours and
Versace.
everything, yeah. But do we want it now?
And I think, yeah, if we do want it now, I'm not spending an excess for it.
I got the legs for it.
I would wear them, but I'm not.
I'm 53, I wouldn't wear them. But I've got the legs for them. I'd probably wear them at home with my harness.
Do you still own a
printed
harness?
harness.
You know, I'm not going out in it. You know what I mean?
I just.
That's probably the most Versace image of the whole show.
Yeah.
That can only be, apart from the fact that it's written, that could only be Versace. No?
Yeah, but I just.
No.
Not for me.
Not for me.
I think
I
the
kind of think it
dresses
could be.
are more-
Because sports socks on the
And the high-waisted, yet again, high-waisted boxer shorts. I mean, that could be anybody. Do you get what I'm saying?
I
It could be
disagree with
anybody.
that one.
That could be anybody that's in their first year at St Martin's School of Art that's done their research on the mid-80s. That really could. To me, that's what it screamed. It's like, okay, I collected every issue of the Face magazine, so therefore I'm going to reference it in my first year at St Martin's and I'm going to wow the world. No, it doesn't.
Okay, let's talk about non-binary. That's another thing we were discussing before.
Yeah.
There's, as we know, there's a lot of non-binary in fashion. There are some that are very honest and doing it really sincerely, and some that are jumping on the wagon, which we don't like. Here, I mean, if you look at the details, there are like men wearing silk camisole with lace underneath a jumper, and women and men wearing, there are 2 or 3 looks that are almost exactly the same on the boy and on the girl. So that's the hint to non-binary. What do we think? Do we think it's really non-binary?
I don't think a harness is
Not all together, please.
Go. Let's work our way down.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not said anything.
I'm just taking it all in. I just think it's just interesting what you guys are saying.
I think we have brands in London who are very well representing of the non-binary voice, and I think it's important. Like, it's really important, and I think it's a little bit, I'm going to say, insulting to throw on some feathers and a silk camisole on a man and then on a woman and be like, yes, we're representing non-binary people. Non-binary people don't have a style.
To me, that's representing the drag community. That's what it's representing, feathers and lace. Like, you know, non-binary people, do they all wear feathers and do they all wear lace? No, they don't. So what is it representing? What it's representing is their idea of thinking.
No, I
that
just
that's what
think
it is.
as well, like,
models in the show.
it's not so much referencing non-binary, it's just the idea that a man can wear what he wants and a man can wear something that's typically feminine. It doesn't mean that he's non-binary. Like, you know, I'm wearing feathers, I'm a man, but it doesn't mean now I'm non-binary. Like,
Exactly. I take you.
You
as
are a man,
Yeah,
you're
of course
not
he's
a
a man.
non-binary them person.
No. I'm just wearing what I like, and I don't care if this is supposed to be for a woman, but it doesn't
But
make me
do
non-binary.
we think that Donatella threw in some feathers, as you said?
I don't think Donatella threw in
I
anything.
don't think.
I think the stylist threw it in.
I would like.
Seriously, I think the stylist threw it in. I think.
Yeah, but I mean, Donatella has to approve every look.
Yeah, of course.
You
But,
approve,
know,
look,
for me,
even if
I
you
don't
have a
think
top
it's like,
stylist.
okay, let's go for the non-binary. I kind of just think that's the world that we live in right now. That's the way people see things going, especially within fashion and culture. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's
It
full of
It
those.
screeches East London. It screeches, you know, that's what it screeches. It's like, you know, I'm fit, as I said, at 53. I've done feathers and harnesses and all that. So throughout my lifetime, it always comes back, and it always comes back in a different way. It's not necessarily because it's about non-binary now. It's always been there. Do you get what I mean?
She mentioned that in her...
No, but I think you mentioned it, that you read it somewhere, that someone...
I think I read it as well.
Yeah, there was a show
didn't,
report where they mentioned
yeah.
how she was like, this house is like the last house to start to kind of accept or nod to the non-binary community. I think this is not.
But if she
that,
really
that
wanted
didn't come
to...
from them.
No, it didn't come from them.
Because you know what, non-binary, you know, what's the biggest thing that everybody's talking about right now? Do you know what I mean? It's about non-binary, so let's make our collections about that.
It gets sketchy
Yeah,
when
again,
you
let's
start
all
to
jump
make
on
money
that
from it.
bandwagon.
But then she would have cast like non-binary models.
You would
she
hope
would have...
so.
You wouldn't have had men wearing harnesses if it was.
But so we're
non-binary.
attacking the reviewer, not the. I mean, the house didn't talk. I didn't see any press release. I have to say that we were not given tickets for the show.
No.
SHOWstudio. And we were not sent a press release even if we asked. But that's
hate
it.
you.
So no, I don't think so. It was small and probably don't matter as much. But we don't have those details. I don't think that I would be surprised that the non-binary word is in their press release.
Yeah, no,
I don't think
I'd
that
be very surprised.
that's in Donatella's
It was
vocabulary.
that stupid to put that in that sense. Do you get what I mean?
However,
It's too much of a
to you know, say what we heard, there are many of those little trends of the moment that are subtly and probably cleverly put in, because contrary to what you guys said, it could be disappointing, but I think this collection will sell. I think there are a lot of pieces that will sell like
100%. It's
hot
very accessible,
bread.
totally, because you know, you know, a T-shirt with a harness on it, and everyone's going to know it's Versace. People are going to fucking wear it. They're going to wear it regardless.
Or you know, those camisoles.
You know, as I say, when I said at the beginning, it looks like H&M to me. It looks, it's very Versace collaboration, H&M. That's where it.
But that, Tony, that you have to wait until you see the actual collection, you see it in movement,
No,
you
I
touch
don't.
it, and you see the luxury of it.
No, I don't.
But you do. I mean,
don't.
I'm telling you that
No, you can tell me what you want. I will argue with you.
But once you
should know me by now.
once you see the fabrics and everything, you know that it's not obviously low
Exactly.
quality. You know, she's
But
known
no
for
one's
her
saying it's, I'm
fabric.
not saying it's low quality. What I'm saying to you, I'm not saying it looks like it was made for H&M. What I'm saying to you is it looks like, the looks in the show are like a H&M collaboration, styling and imagery. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not saying the quality. No way am I saying the quality. Yes, I agree. It's
Once you
Versace. I
see
wouldn't
it,
think
yeah.
it was anything else. I wouldn't think suddenly they're using, you know, polyester instead of silk. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the actual looks and the layering and the way the show was, some of those looks look quite like a H&M collaboration. That's what it looks like.
But that's probably why there are all these trends thrown in, like the wide shoulder jacket, the leopard print, the vinyl Mac, the harness. I mean, there's too many of those. I think they could have been one.
Yeah, totally. Because you just...
You're very quiet there. You said I'm taking it all in.
Yeah,
What do you think?
because like you guys are just like I don't know.
collaboration.
Can we let him talk?
In my opinion, like the whole collection, I just think personally, it's just all about targeting the youth, and I'm basing that literally. I know I said it already, but I'm literally basing it on who's already wearing Versace, and I'm looking at it, and you know, you're like, I wouldn't want to wear boxing shorts with Versace on it, but I'm thinking about the average, I don't know, teenager or maybe like early 20s that doesn't really care about fashion that much, but would consume it for the sake of little things like a Fitbit. And stuff like that is what encourages and influences even fashion designers. It's the culture. When I saw like the long PVC jacket, I was like, I've seen a million of those. Why make one now?
It's all over fashion, by the way, this season.
I think the fashion in itself is to be on trend and say, hey, I can do this too if I want, kind of thing. And I feel like where like Versace already has their set audience, I don't think this collection was speaking to them. I think it was speaking to everybody else who wasn't already looking at them. And by that, I mean the younger people, because the younger people run off to brands like, well now, you know, they run off to like Louis Vuitton, they're going to brands like Raf Simons, they're going to stuff like, you know,
Apparently not that much, but yeah.
No one's going to Raf, darling.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
or stuff like, I'm talking about like, in terms of like the streetwear community, like you go to brands like Elite, you know, that's known for harnesses and stuff, and then you've got like, you know, all these rappers and artists that go on stage wearing these harnesses and stuff like that. And although it's not like anything new, like I know you guys said it's been around for ages, but for the younger people where they wasn't around when it was big and popping, this is like a revamp for them, where, you know, I guess they're just experiencing it. I don't think it's...
But that to me sounds...
Can we show
without wanting to argue on this one, to me
Can we
that's
show
like saying...
Timothée Chalamet
okay, so
at the Golden Globes?
It's like a cheap remix of
That's
a really
Virgil
bad
Abloh
record,
by Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
That's Louis Vuitton by Virgil.
Which was the Golden
And it's
Globe.
last week, yeah. So there is a
That's,
trend.
that's not hard.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a
doesn't look
harness.
like a harness. That looks like a kind of holster.
The other one
Yeah,
does,
again,
Adam.
The other one with the
But that's a harness. They called it a harness.
Yeah, but when you throw a cock ring into the mix, like this is a harness. This is a stereotypical harness. That in the middle is a cock ring. That is a leather harness. That is what gay men wear.
I see what you mean.
That is gay culture. What Virgil did is another play on the shoulder holster. That's what that is. That I wouldn't say what Virgil did was was.
That's closer to the T-shirt with
Yes,
the printed
totally.
harness. I see what you mean. yeah.
This is a
To go back to Shaq, so do you think they targeting the youth? Do you think they succeed?
Yeah, I think like when I said Louis Vuitton, I wasn't comparing like the whole. I'm talking just about the whole aesthetic. What the youth want is what's on trend, and if Versace isn't on trend with the youth, they're probably thinking, okay, let's make a chunky shoe. Versace don't need to do that, but they did it. And now,
Well, you're right. Gianni Versace used to create trends,
Exactly.
not follow trends. And that's probably, I don't have anything that bad against this show, but what shocks me a little bit is that it jumps on trends instead of inspiring me with new ones or sticking to what
For
they
people
are.
like us and for people that do follow fashion and are critical of fashion, of course we're going to think that. But I guess, like you said, for the average young person that just likes to wear nice things and goes into a store and sees Versace like chunky Versace shoes, they'll probably like them. So it depends on...
So is Comer taking over?
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking what the show would have been like if Kim Jones has actually gone to Versace. Do you know what I'm saying to you? We wouldn't be sitting here ripping that apart. I wouldn't be. This to me is not groundbreaking. This to me is played out, and that's kind of it. You know, it's sellable. It's.
Which ideally they have to do.
I get that totally, but I mean, you know, you look at that, it just takes from everything. Let's not look at that Ford jacket one more time, please. It's like, what the hell is that about?
I think the Ford is...
What is that? I mean,
Everybody's done it.
I have a
I've
theory.
seen quite a few
he has a theory. Can we hear the theory,
What's
please?
your theory?
I think my theory with the Ford, having just sold a lot of their company to an American company, I think Ford being one of America's like big native companies from over 100 years ago, I think that was them kind of smartly nodding to the fact that they are a part of, you know, the American dream now, so to speak, in terms of...
But people, you know, middle America are not going to be walking around wearing Versace. They're not going to buy it.
I'm not saying right.
No, but like Coach did Americana or Trav did Americana, they do Americana with the Ford logo. That's what you mean?
That leather jacket, that motorcycle jacket was nothing but a motorcycle jacket.
Absolutely.
It did not say Versace.
But there is enough Ford for me to think there's a deal behind, and I'm sure I should know. I'm sure it's written somewhere, and I'm sorry, I ignore.
It probably is.
But I'm sure there is a sponsoring or commercial deal, because there's a lot of Ford, and this looks like little stickers on a piece of
This
cotton.
to me, this is Chris Martin from 1992, 1993. This whole outfit that they did, what Katie Grand did, with
Chris Martin from Coldplay.
No, the model. He had leopard skin hair and the leopard coat. That was a really famous picture from the face. Yet again, that is a pure rip-off of that. That's what that is. And you know, this morning, which summed it up for me was, Hey Riley, you know, really, he did an amazing meme this morning of the show of Rocky and Mr. T wearing the wrestling shorts. It's amazing.
Do you think we can find it?
Yeah, it's on his site. You know, for me, that kind of just summed it up. It's like, okay, the mockery is there straight away. Do you get what I mean? It's referencing everything. That's what this show's doing.
But let's go back to the
This is quite
Ford
clever,
one
I suppose,
second. Don't you think that Ford thing is a little bit weird? I agree with, I mean, Ricky, I understand your point, but it's really weird.
It's odd.
It's a car company.
Out of nowhere.
At least have like Bentley or something.
Yeah, or Rolls. We call it a Rolls now at SHOWstudio.
It's random.
It's very weird. I thought it was a little bit like, whoa, it's not the DHL T-shirt by Demna because that's been done before. So it's not like a tongue-in-cheek thing. What is it?
Yeah, it didn't feel tongue-in-cheek. It felt.
No, it didn't feel tongue-in-cheek at all.
It was very random.
So this is it's
I like the
walking around
quality.
Harrods' second floor men's department
Yeah.
and taking one item from every shop and putting it on. That's what this is. Seriously, that's exactly what this is. So you've got you've got a supermarket dash at the second floor at Harrods.
I don't think we will have tickets for Versace next season.
I don't care.
There goes, I know.
I mean, I've worked with them before in the past.
No, I know, I'm kidding.
You know, they know what I'm like. She knows, I met Dom a million times. They know exactly what I'm like.
But I think, at least let's say that the colors are pretty spectacular.
Listen,
I like the
some of the stuff.
clutching.
Listen, I'm not slagging the whole show off. Some of the stuff. There was a pink and the Versace, a guy wearing a pink coat. That was Versace to me. That was stunning.
Yeah.
With the yellow underneath, like the
Also,
turquoise
I
blue.
sort of
That
love
was
the yellow
incredible.
coats.
That was good. That's amazing with the stripes.
Yeah,
this
I
is
love that.
gorgeous.
Yeah, that's
This is
Versace.
gorgeous.
That's Versace.
And that's what I mean. Like,
Let's make the whole show. Obviously, it can't be the whole show about that, but you know what I'm saying? That's stunning.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The Ford stuff is not stunning. It's Ford.
that's what I mean. Like,
weird.
it's hit and miss because when I looked at the show, some things I
like
was like,
this?
no, no,
It's
no, and some
amazing.
things I was
This
like,
look, yeah, I like it.
Hold on,
I think
guys, one at a time.
sorry,
He's
sorry,
talking.
sorry.
no. Just when I looked at the show, some things I immediately thought no, and then there's other things I thought yes. So it's kind of hit and miss.
But when you came in, you were a little bit like,
When I saw
we
the
need to do this, really.
most of it, I was like no, but the one that we just looked at,
The guy in the yellow coat, the green and the yellow, beautiful.
I
Pink
think
and
it's
those-
fantastic.
These two outfits,
I don't like that one.
I like it because you know what?
I
To me,
just
that
miss
screams.
the
Versace,
naked
baby.
men a little bit, and let me rephrase it. I just miss the muscles and glossy Versace-looking men. Not
love
because
this.
that's my taste,
love
but I
this.
think that's Versace.
This tracksuit's great. It's a tracksuit. It's a Versace tracksuit. It's great for me. I think it's really wearable. I think
just wish it wasn't elasticated around the ankles.
I think they're rolled up.
Rolled up.
Rolled
Yeah,
up.
rolled up. I mean that and the pink. That's to me is stunning Versace. Do you know what I mean? It's not for everyone.
It's not what? No,
not for everyone.
no, certainly not for everyone. No, but Versace's never been for everyone.
And that's it. You just
yeah.
hit the nail on the head. The rest of the collection's for everyone.
A little
You
bit.
just hit the nail on the head when you said Versace's not for everyone.
supposed to
And
be
it's
for
not meant
everyone.
to be. And that's exactly it.
That could be, yeah. That's
Sadly,
for
we live
everyone.
in a world where brands have to compromise.
To a certain extent.
They have to sell
They
clothes.
have to
Yeah,
sell.
but this is a show. And shows have oomph, shows have magic. Shows make you want to be a part of that brand.
They make you go to the store and then buy the T-shirt. but
Totally.
Because you saw something
They make you
else.
queue up for 7 hours to get the T-shirt.
Hint, hint.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Hint,
They
hint.
do make you queue up. And you know, it's... And that's, you know, she said before, that Versace's not for everyone. And it's kind of like, for parts of this show, it could be anyone.
I think personally, I don't know, just looking at it as well,
Yeah.
not trying to offend the stylist, but I think maybe if it was styled a bit different, opinions would be a bit more different too. I think some of the styling is just a bit, I don't know. For me personally,
trendy. It's trendy.
I mean, looking at I can see. I think some of the items are trendy. I don't think some of the styling is trendy personally. Like, you know, I think the chunky shoes are trendy. Using the Ford, I think that's kind of trendy because I know a
But
lot.
how
of
much
Yeah.
longer are chunky shoes going to be trendy for?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
This is next winter. I don't think chunky shoes are going to be around next winter.
And I think for styling, if you look at styling, like the bomber jacket, when they've kind of paired it with, I think it was shorts or whatever, I guess if you took that kind of big jacket and paired it with really, really spray-on trousers, it might say something different.
That's the look number one, I think. Isn't it?
He's wearing the leather.
The
with
spray
the
on,
harness.
I mean, I think, no,
They're not
not number one, no, sorry, no, it's for, that look, go up one, please, the one to the left, I know it's the infamous harness on a t-shirt, but that for me, it's more Versace than some other looks. You know, I don't know if it's the black leather, the fact that the trousers are more sprayed on, but
No, they're not
Not as sprayed on as I'd
no,
like.
they're not sprayed on.
They're not sprayed on. But yeah, it does. It says Versace, but you know, as I said, we've already ripped that T-shirt to pieces.
Yeah,
and you know,
don't need to.
But it does say Versace. I mean, certain aspects of the show don't, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm just an old skeptic. I grew up loving Gianni. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we can't deny that Donatella did a good job in the past
No one's saying that.
years with
No,
ups and downs, and you know.
Donatella's incredible.
She
Let's
took
not-
over
No
and
one's putting
did-
Donatella down. Donatella's
Yeah.
incredible.
She did a good
I'm
job.
saying, growing up in the era that I grew up in, Gianni to me was a god. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Anyone who wore Versace, you know, when you used to walk down to that small shop on Bond Street, the Gianni Versace shop, you know, it was a dream come true.
It was the it brand, wasn't
It was
it?
the it brand.
No one
And
you can
and all my
compare.
friends worked in there, and I so wanted to be them. Do you get what I mean? I so wanted to work in the shop.
Really?
Yeah, of course. You know, and then we had South Molton Street, and then we had all of those brands, those amazing brands at that time. It was a great era, you know. So, and Donatella was a part of that. No one said Donatella just came along and did this.
No, she was very much a part of that.
Of course
yeah.
she was.
And I think she
And you know, we always talk about Gianni, but Donatella was very much that as well. Do you get what I'm saying? It still is.
There were rumors about 2 years ago that she was going to leave, that she was going to give it to Riccardo Tisci first, and then I don't remember who. But then suddenly she woke up and she said, "No, it's still me. I want to do it." And I think,
Quite right,
I think she's happy. I think she's happier than she's been. Well, she also just
recovery.
cashed a lot of money.
It's recovery.
Yeah, it's
You
called
know,
recovery.
It's recovery. She's in recovery. That's why she's being her Donatella again. You know, when we do the things that we do in life, we lose ourselves, and we have no trust. We don't believe in ourselves, and she's got that belief back. You know,
That's
that's
a very good
Donatella.
point.
Donatella's Donatella again.
She does look happy.
She's amazing. Come on, you can see it in her face.
I think she's happier than she's been in a long time. And I also think that selling all her shares, it's
Freed her a little bit.
yeah, it's like a relief. It's
course,
like,
come on.
apart from the money that came in, but it's a sense of freedom.
Of course it is.
I think at the end of the day, with this collection, is it quintessentially Versace all over? No, it's fresher in terms of what the younger generation probably would wear. If you took me to a store and were like, pick 6 items, I'm picking 6 items because there are definitely
No
pieces
problem.
I
I've
would wear.
I've already picked 12 items. Do you
Well,
know what I'm saying to you? There's
yeah.
certain bits of it, but you know, but they weren't the Ford jacket, and they certainly weren't the boxing shorts. But there are certain bits to it that I just don't know. That pink shirt can just disappear.
But I think also we have to give kudos for her. Compared to other menswear brands, she is still pushing the boundaries in terms of what a man is expected to
Yeah.
wear. You know, you've got
Totally.
these lace negligees and you've got men with feathers. So it's still, you know, it's still quite daring, I would say. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
are doing interesting things, putting more, you know, feminine things on menswear. But for a massive, massive house like this to do that,
But probably that's the problem, probably because now, I mean, whatever used to shock us from Versace men, it's not shocking anymore because people do things that go even further. And this is a, you know, close to $1 billion house. I mean, they need to sell a lot of stuff.
yeah.
To keep up. It's easier for an upcoming brand that barely exists commercially, you know. So,
Of course.
so I don't know. I'm not. I hear where you guys come from. When I watched it alone this morning, I wasn't as negative because I think also about the relevance and the.
No negativity going on.
No, it looked like Asian.
I don't think.
It could be a cushion in a bed, Airbnb. That's very positive.
If you work in home accessories, it's a very positive thing.
I don't think the collection is as offensive as like you
Oh,
know,
don't-
it's
I'm not
made
saying
out
it's
to
offensive.
be. I personally think, you know what? I think it's all right. I don't mind it. Even the T-shirt with the thing, I think it could have been done a bit more tasteful, but I get it, and I know someone is gonna buy it. Someone's gonna think.
Oh,
like,
for
Of course,
sure.
someone's going to
Many
buy it.
someone.
We don't doubt that for one moment. Of course someone's going to buy it. Do you know what I mean? It's like if I see one more pair of chunky trainers, you know, it's like you think, oh, well, who's
I like Guido Palau leopard hair, I must say.
I had leopard hair.
You did?
Yeah, for 2 years. yeah.
How long ago?
2 years, and I had tiger. It took like 9 hours for them to do.
And then how long does it last? How can you keep it?
And you literally have to go back. A guy
Every 2 weeks.
Vida Sassoon did it. There was this photographer in the 80s called Zanya. She did like she did a Mick Hucknall, like, Stars videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she did, like, the whole creative thing. I had a group called Fierce Child, and I had tiger hair for the face. I was, like, in, like, 4 pages in the face with tiger hair, and a pink suit, and a bright yellow.
Can we
ruffled
find that
skirt.
photo somewhere,
You can find
Tony?
it. It's in the face, so you can just dig it out.
Can we see Tony in a pink
I know
jacket and
Maybe
tiger
Donatella
hair?
came
Type
across
in Fierce
them.
Child
Posted
in
a
the
reference
face.
today.
Type in
or
Fierce
yesterday.
Child, it'll come up.
What did you say,
Oh,
Ricky?
Katie England actually posted a picture of the leopard print hair with the leopard print jacket.
Yeah, that was with Keith Martin. He was the model that wore it.
It was so-
that's you know,
such
that
a
was,
clear
that was like pure referencing from that. That's what I'm saying to you. So a lot of, you know,
But I don't mind the referencing. I mean, who doesn't reference today,
on.
you know? And so many people have referenced to
it's
Versace.
incredible. If I hear one more
So,
person
yeah.
say to me, "Oh God, that's so Lee Barry," no, don't. Oh God, that's so Lee Barry.
Yeah.
That's incredible that's so Lee Barry.
I hear you.
know, referencing is incredible. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have the amazing people that we reference.
Everything brings things on, yeah.
Or, Lee McQueen, let's go on and on and on. It's all referencing. Vivian's referenced all her life. It's all been from history. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And they take it and they turn it into what it is today. Something amazing. So there's nothing wrong with referencing.
No, exactly. That's wrong with copying, but referencing is absolutely normal. And as we say, that's what brings things on, you know,
Oh,
and
totally.
forward.
And I love other people's twists on things. And it's, you know, it just keeps it fresh.
Oh, that's the picture.
Yeah, that's Keith.
Yeah, that's the picture, but that's not Tony. I really will have to find a photo of Tony
But
with
me
tiger
and Keith,
hair.
it was exactly the same time as this, because me and Keith, we both did this. We both modelled for the Central St Martin's show, with which what's the name was Stella did. Stella's show. We were in that. I walked for Shayland. I had tiger hair in that, and Keith had tartan hair at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So, well, time to wrap up. I think it was very...
Reference Anna in that is what I just told you. That picture.
It was very, very, very interesting. So thank you very much. I need to thank once more Cartel for this table and these chairs that we're using in this panel, and remind you that this show, 100 Women We're Sitting in SHOWstudio Gallery, is on until the end of the month. And you can buy the artwork online or coming and visit us at SHOWstudio. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.